Because it was very well done, well done.
Shot can start every Monday.
Yeah. You tell me how we can do it on 12 holes though, you know. Little could our founder, Charles Houghton, who formed a small group of retired members 50 years ago, have foreseen how retired groups, golf clubs generally, have developed and prospered, particularly at this club, where the drones now number over 100. Let us hope that the next 50 years bring as much enjoyment to future drones as the first 50 have done.
I'll be there.
To finish the bottle of scotch. That true, Neil? I'm sorry the scorecards were difficult to understand for some, particularly Lionel Bingham, who could not answer if he was over or under 75. There's obviously an age thing, Lionel. When you get there, I'm sure you'll better understand. Also, the nearest to pin taxed some members who did not put the distance on the card, despite the poll having the measurements on it. I'd like to offer my sincere thanks, particularly to Mike Gale, for all the work he's done with the card. So professionally for us. Just a quick plug, don't forget the Drones Ladies Night on the 4th of November. The list is on the board, so please get your names up there. Let's have a good night for them as well. And also the winter competition list is up, so get your names on there. The list is on the board. And now we'll get on to the prize giving. Right, I'll move over to the table. There will only be one prize per person, although one or two people could have qualified for more. .35 points on countback, Neil McMillan. On second on the same score on countback, Darryl Tent. Before we go on to the winner, I'll do a couple of the other prizes. The nearest the pin on the 5th hole, Peter Webb. And there's a prize too for the best card for the over 75s. Obviously Lionel Bingham doesn't qualify because he couldn't mark the card that way. But the winner with 32 points was past captain Satya Gunda. And also introduced the best card, and the first man that was the winner was Terry Knight. And the best score on the second 9 on countback, the winner Vernon Clough. And now 36 points today, on not easy condition I don't think, Chris Fellas. Good, thank you, gentlemen. We'll now move on. There's also a drone, thankfully, who joined us. Alan Stranders, over to you.
Mr. Chief Drone, gentlemen, actually I'm not sure what the collective noun is for drones. Is it a swarm of drones? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me here this evening to say a few words on your 50th or the 50th anniversary of the drones section. I really won't say much, as the Chief Drone said, dare I say, I don't want to drone on after last Saturday, which was, I think, the longest ever AGM of 2¼ hours or something like that. But if nothing else, gentlemen, could I ask you, the ballot papers regarding the refurbishment of the clubhouse, I believe actually, Frank, have gone out today, so please do respond to those ballot papers. I hope you'll respond positively, but at least respond, because I was very disappointed with the last ballot we had, where over 40% of the eligible members didn't vote at all. So I would ask you to vote. John Grover nearly gave me a heart attack early this evening when he said Bruce Campbell was going to turn up as an extra guest speaker. I believe he was having me on. Anyway.
I'm over here.
As you know, gentlemen, and it's on the front of the dinner menu, the drones were started some 50 years ago by Charles Houghton. Now, I knew Charles Houghton, as I'm sure some of you in the room here did, but there'll be some others who didn't. And my first encounter with Charles Houghton, for those who knew him at that time will know, was in that an armchair over in that corner, and he was holding his own tankard of beer and smoking his pipe. And I came up because I was about to join a general practice here in Harpenden, which I subsequently was appointed to, and I was up for interview. This was the membership committee of one, as it was in 1974. And I sat down in front of Charles Houghton, and he asked me, and he looked at my application form, and he said, I see you come from a prestigious club. You're a member of Royal Mid Surrey. And I said, I am, Mr. Houghton, yes. Then he said, what's your current handicap? I said, 4. He said, well, that's pretty impressive. He said, and you've got an excellent proposer in Dr. Michael Price, who was the chap who was the senior partner of the practice I was about to join. He's a very well-respected member of this club. And so he said, you're a very good 4 handicap golfer, you come from a good club, and you've got an excellent proposer, so I suppose you think you can get in here straight away, do you? Because, gentlemen, at that time there was about a 4 or 5 year waiting list. And I said, well, I really am hoping to continue my golfing game, but if necessary, I'll continue being a member of Royal Mid Surrey. So he then said, have you been in the military? And I said, no, sir. And he said, are you related in any way to the royal family? I promise you, you can laugh. This is actually true. To which I said, no, not that I know. He said, very well, young man. In that case, you could become a 5-day member straight away, and we'll take you in as a 7-day member when you actually come and arrive here in Harpenden. I was delighted, therefore, to join the club all those years ago straight away. And I think, you know, joking apart, gentlemen, we do owe a great debt to the late Charles Houghton. He started the drones 50 years ago, and it's gone from strength to strength. And if I may say so, from those rather humble beginnings for me, Charlie Houghton actually became a good friend of mine, and I actually did also look after him as a patient, and dare I say, saw him through his terminal illness. And you know, he was a really remarkable man, and as I say, we owe him a great debt of gratitude. That was lovely. Now then, so what is a drone? I'm sure many people have asked this question before, and like so many before me, I've had to look the definition up in the dictionary. And all of you, I'm sure, know, but I'm going to quote it just for clarity. A drone is a male bee, especially a honeybee, whose only function is to fertilise the queen. Drones have no stingers, do no work, and do not produce honey. Now that's definition number 1. Definition number 2 is a person who lives off the work of others. Now, Dr. Darrell Tant and I have to categorise ourselves in that because we're both NHS retirees, and we'd like to thank you here personally for your contribution to our pension. Definition number 3, which you can probably exclude, is a pilotless radio-controlled aircraft. But if we go back to definition number 1, you'll see that the first definition is clearly the correct one, and it alludes, dare I say, gentlemen, to the sexual prowess of drones. Now, I don't know, I'm a fairly young drone, if I may say so, in the sense that I've only recently joined the drones, but there is a well-known story that there were 3 lady members of this golf club, all of whose husbands were drones. And they played a game of golf, and they were powdering their noses in the ladies' changing room, and they were very good friends with each other. And the first one said, "Do you know, I've been thinking about this for a while. I think that my husband, who is a drone, if I had to handicap him on his sexual prowess, I reckon he should be category 1, because quite honestly, he's long, hard and straight, and really, he's a very good performer and always comes up to the job, and I have to say, he really is a first-class performer. What about you, Anne?" she said to the second lady. And the second lady said, "Well, you're jolly lucky, because I'd have to put my husband as really in category 12 to 18 handicap. He tries very hard, and he keeps on trying to improve his technique, but unfortunately, he often ends up in the rough, and sometimes it's quite difficult for him to hold out." "And what about you, Carol?" they said to the third lady. And she said, "Well, sorry girls, I'd rather not say if you don't mind." And they said, "Well, come on, no, we've all been totally honest. You know, what would you handicap your husband at?" And she says, "Well, girls, I can't really say because he hasn't put a card in for 3 years."